Hi everyone. So first of all, I'd like to thank Alex for setting up this conference. I know the journey has been really hard so far, but the result is pretty amazing, I think. And again, thanks for having me on stage for the second time. 2 years ago, I shared my process on building great products using prototype, wireframe, and tools. And today I'd like to take a few steps back so I can share with you guys what I think is coming next in design, and more specifically, design in SaaS. So for the last 5 years, I've been designing products at eFounders that some of you may use on a daily basis, such as Mailjet, Textmaster, Mention, Front, Aircall, Illustrio, Ivy, Spendesk that we launched yesterday, and Forest, which I swear is not named after me, that we're going to launch pretty soon. And I think that's the last time I do the list, because next time maybe it's going to be way bigger. So my correct job title so far would have been something like product designer or UI designer. Very product focused and with a narrow focus on a few design disciplines. And the reason why is simply because our customers we were using great applications from companies such as Apple, Google, and Facebook, or all these consumer companies. They were kind of expecting the same quality in our product. So we had to focus on building a great product, not that kind of shit, sorry about that. And I think we can all agree that's not what we want to work with. So, as I said, for 5 years, the quality kept raising, and we sort of focused on building great and beautiful products. Now the question is, how do you stay on top of this crowded world that the SaaS market is becoming, and how do you keep your customers from paying month after month? And I think that part of the answer is to build and design great experience so that you power your brand customers' relationship. If we sort of summarize the situation here, when I started design almost 8 years ago, I was designing beautiful products. That's what people asked me to do. And we were trying to mimic real-life situation so that the user could learn the interface faster. Then we sort of asked, how can we improve that? And we start by crafting great user experiences. And this corresponds to the flat design era. So since we were less designing visually, we focused on the user experience. Which brings us to what I think is the next chapter, the next design era, which is all about the experience itself. So the experience design is going to be emphasized in the coming years, I think, with things like VR, AI, and bots, where emotion is going to play a key role. So I know what you may be wondering right now. What's the difference between the user experience design and experience design, except that we drop one word? The first one is about the immediate moment-by-moment interaction. What happens if a user clicks on a button? What happens if I delete an entry of if the server is down? It's about the real-time interactions. Whereas experience design is about the memorized one. What the customers are going to think about your brand and what's going to stick in their mind for the rest of their life with your product. And if I had to define what experience design is, I'd say it's a complex mix of feelings, thoughts, emotions, and actions. The idea is to think, design, and control the relationship between your business and your customer, and how do you shape the connections between them. Experience design is about you. You have to remember that it's unique. It's about you, your company, your team, your culture, your market, and your customers. Now you may be wondering, and that's okay, how do you design such experience? The first thing you have to do, I'd say, is to define your brand and its values. So you could answer questions such as, what is unique about your brand? How your customer would define your brand? And how would you define yourself compared to your competitors? Then, of course, you can set up a brand voice chart where you will describe the characteristic and the do's and don'ts your brand's voice. And it's really useful for anyone in the company that is going to help create this experience by interacting with your customers. And of course, you can also build a words guide that anyone can use when they create new content, both visual and textual. And when I say new content, I'm not talking only about design, product or marketing, but I'm talking about press relationship, customer support, sales, hiring. The key here is to be consistent across the whole experience. You don't want to break the experience, right? If we take some example, one of them is Ivy, a product that we built during the last year or so, and that we launched last month. Ivy is a tool for office managers, and we are talking about 25 to 40 years old audience, mostly composed of women who love their company, they love their team, they are very friendly and happy, and we had to build a product that would fit them, something very unique that they could customize, that make them smile from time to time, and that they would love straight away. And one way to do that, we organized a few events where we asked them to come and talk about their jobs around foods and drinks. And I've been to these events, and trust me, it had a big impact on how I designed the product and how the team built the product. Another great example is Front, a company that we've started building 3 years ago now. Front is your company external communication in one inbox. So they are dealing with your company's email, and you know how people freaks out about email. So they had to build a different kind of relationship based on trust, safety, and transparency. And to do that, they released their public roadmap where they're sharing what they are working on and what's coming next. They talk a lot about how they build the company, and even internally, the CEO and CTO share their own email with the entire team. So as you can see, it's really important to the customers, so even the culture inside the company is fitting this experience. Now let's talk about one of the best examples in our industry, I think, right now, which is Slack. And I think we all felt the same way when I said Slack. We all think Slack is cool, right? Slack is something really amazing, since it's nothing new that didn't existed before. It almost has the same future as its competitors. So what makes them really different? If we do a quick side-by-side comparison between Slack and HipChat, one of its competitors, we can see straight away the differences. Slack is very colorful, using bright and very saturated colors, whereas on the other side, we have a grayish and bluish palettes. It's very cold. Slack is very visual. It's very human. It feels like a real conversation, whereas HipChat is very textual and robotic. It looks like, I'd say, a Wikipedia page of my company's conversation, right? So Slack is very playful. And the very first interaction you have in Slack, I'm talking about the Slack bot, sets this tone right away. And they use great copywriting to boost this playfulness. And finally, it adds even more value to the business. Because I'm more engaged, I'm more willing to pay, and trust me, we pay a lot of money to Slack, and I'm more willing to share the love around me. And they have this thing, the wall of love, where you can see that users and customers have feelings and emotions about brands, even the SaaS brands. So if I sort of summarize how do you create an experience, the first thing you have to do is to be consistent. Whether it's the first time I encounter your brand, using your product, or contacting your support, I should leave the same experience and have the same feelings and emotions. Of course, you have to listen to your customers and placate them in the process of building this experience, whether you're organizing events or simply having one-on-one conversation. And finally, I think you should build guides. Guides are really useful for anyone in the company to help build this experience. Again, whether it's a sales guy or a marketing guy or a customer support guy. So that's all for me. I hope you enjoyed. I hope also that you will start to create your very own experience and that you will increase your design thinking inside your whole company so that guys like me have a job for the next 5 years. Thanks, everyone, and have a good day.